Welcome to our community. Susie Thomas visiting with Eric Benjamin. He is director of the Tuscarawas Philharmonic. I'm sure the title is even better than that. Tell me what.
Exalted Highness.
That's it.
High Poobah.
That's what I meant to say. Eric Benjamin has been with the Tuscarawas Philharmonic for how long, Eric?
20 years. This is my 20th anniversary season.
Wow! Congratulations!
Thank you. It's a wonderful bunch, and it has been love from the first downbeat. So at least on my side, and I think the vibes are good from everybody else. So
well, I don't think there would be 20 years longevity if they didn't feel the same.
Oh, some conductors can hold out despite all slings and arrows.
Well, let's go over those 20 years because you've got quite the rap sheet. Let's talk about all the things you have been involved with. It's impressive.
Wow. Gee. Well, with the Tuscarawas Philharmonic, of course, what I get to do is plan the concerts. And in some consultation with the management, who is now your old friend, Sally Stroop.
Yeah, love her.
Not so old, just
no,
your friend of long-standing.
Long-standing friend.
And so plan programs, planning programs that will bring the kind of excitement that I found when I was in the 6th grade listening to a piece of classical music in a music class. When I grew up in St. Albans, Vermont, and back in the 60s, early 60s, there wasn't even public radio back then.
That's hard to believe,
right,
isn't it?
Right, and so that the opportunities to hear in this small town of Vermont to hear classical music were very rare.
Yeah.
And I was aware of the Beatles. And I was aware of other, of course, pop music and stuff, and church music. But it took being in a 6th grade music class where we had this teacher who she happened to be from Germany. There's a nearby Air Force base, and so she married an Air Force guy, and they came and lived in Vermont, and so she spoke with this wonderful German accent, and she was one of these teachers. You did some early childhood education, right? She was one of these teachers that could control a room full of students by whispering.
Oh, that's a gift.
And of course that she had this German accent was just very enticing, right? And so we listened to her talk about, "Und now, children, we are going to hear some music by Edvard Grieg."
Oh my! And she'd say Wagner, right?
Oh yes, it is. No, yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. And it is called "In the Hall of the Mountain King." And she started to play it on one of these old record players that they used to use in classrooms, and I had I went into a trance. For me, the kids around me disappeared, the walls disappeared. I was in a cave in Norway, and there were firelight on the walls and shadows dancing of trolls. So
also rare is that a 6th grade boy would be able to appreciate high art like that.
Well. I was the only one in the classroom that had that experience. Clearly,
so that's a gift.
Well, I think I was a propensity for that, but of some sort, and I wanted that experience again, even though I quickly went on. At that time I was in the 6th grade. The 7th grade I had taken up guitar, and which of course in 1967, 66 meant you immediately joined the Beatles.
Exactly.
Right.
You had a garage band.
Right. And we were absolutely horrible, and we knew absolutely nothing, but had some fun. And then came a moment. I think it was in the 8th grade, and I walked into one of our little stores in St. Albans, Vermont, and went looking for the regular things, records, pop records, the Beatles or something like that. And over in another bin was the classical music collection, which was 3 records, 2 of which had been there forever. Nobody had bought them, and they just stayed. But there was one new record that was there, and I happened to see it, and blazing, it was by the Philadelphia Orchestra, and it was called Fireworks, and blazing across the top of the album was "In the Hall of the Mountain King."
Oh, and you went, what?
And that was the universe speaking to me.
Wow. You bought that.
I bought that, and I gave up my storied rock and roll career as a lead guitarist when I was about 13 years old. Yes, I gave it all up, the money, the fame,
decision.
the women.
There went that.
and I led a monk-like existence then as studying classical music.
Classical music. Right. Oh, now don't be so hard on classical music. Classical music is cool.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm living proof.
There you go. And this was, not that long ago. If you were in the 7th grade, and then
right.
So since then, but you made that a career.
Yeah, I went to New England Conservatory of Music in Boston, and then wound up teaching high school. I was a music education major. I taught high school in Newton, Massachusetts, and I was assigned to the orchestra. And worked with students, remarkable students. Newton, Massachusetts is a very high power. Mm-hmm. I was teaching kids whose parents were in the Boston Symphony taught at Harvard and I learned an awful lot from them. And some of them, actually a good handful of them, are in major orchestras.
That was my next question. Did any of those students have that same experience you had?
In New York and in Los Angeles and in Memphis right now. So it's something we all sort of got to do together. I was only 22 years old when I started teaching high school. I was only a few years older than some of the kids I was teaching.
Right.
Well, okay, I stayed there. I loved teaching, but I really was always hankering. I'd always wanted to be a conductor. Mm-hmm. And I was conducting an orchestra at high school, but I've always thought I want to turn pro. Went back to grad school at New England Conservatory of Music and then took auditions and won the audition to become assistant conductor of the Akron Symphony Orchestra.
Oh, congratulations.
And
wow.
So I left Ohio. I left Massachusetts, rather, and moved to Ohio with my family and stayed conducting the Akron Youth Symphony and being assistant conductor of the Akron Symphony for 11 seasons.
Now, think of all the lives that you have impacted with music. Multiply that by your students who have gone to do that.
Right.
Has anybody gotten to that little German teacher to let her know where she started all those years ago?
Actually, the German teacher was a substitute while the regular teacher was off on maternity leave.
Oh my goodness!
And that regular teacher, her name is Donna Costas. She's living still in St. Albans, Vermont, and she was in one way or another my music teacher for 12 years. I had her as a private piano teacher. I had her as a church choir director. I had her as a public school music teacher at the elementary and at the secondary level. So she did. I told her that story, and she made a point of getting in touch with Betsy Chandler. Hi, Betsy, if you're out there.
That's cool.
And told Betsy about that moment. So yeah, those people are still there in St. Albans, Vermont, and. So my experience with the Akron Symphony was a really rich one, a great learning experience. Worked with some wonderful, wonderful people, and I was conductor of the Akron Youth Symphony, which, by the way, Susie, it's just happened that they were in need of somebody to come in and take over, and so they hired me back. So I'm back.
So you're doing both.
I'm back working with the Akron Symphony. Yeah.
While you're doing the Tuscarawas Philharmonic.
Yes, right.
Whoa!
There's a story.
Not a lot of moss grows on your Rolling Stone. No, that's quite a handful.
Well, it's somebody has to do it, and it's a job that needs to be done, and I love doing, and so it's not so hard, but I am going to have to work harder on my scheduling because I've got some things to reconcile.
A lot of things on your plate.
Right.
Well, now. The story doesn't end with becoming a director because you've also composed music. That's a whole other level now. My goodness.
Well, that was something, it's an interesting thing. There are some, just my own story was I never thought that I could ever really write music. And this wonderful saintly man that I studied music theory with at New England Conservatory, just sort of by a fluke, I was put in his class when there was a waiting list. I was put ahead of the waiting list for some reason.
Wow.
And this man had Joseph Gabriel Maneri was his name. Gabriel was his adopted name. He liked the angel Gabriel. And so he was this remarkably charismatic, visionary composer and teacher. And he had a profound effect on me and showed me that I could write music. So it took me still a long time of working away sort of privately and only occasionally showing things. It was when I was working with the Akron Symphony that it became clear that I could do something that could serve a need on a program. write something that the orchestra would fill the bill, arrange something for the Gospel Meets Symphony concerts, for instance, which many of you will know.
Love those.
I was involved in writing the music, taking the gospel choruses that the chorus had learned, and making parts for the orchestra to play, much as our friend Jesse Ayers has just done.
Love him, yes.
Yes, right, sure.
It's so cool that you know each other and that you're both composers. I want to hear you collaborate on something. That would be too good. I can't imagine for you, for Jesse, for any composer, what it's like to have to hear the music before anybody has written it down. How does that work?
Yeah. Experience, just having heard a lot of music, and you sort of know what's possible. Mm-hmm. And then, frankly, you wind up imitating a lot when you first start out, and I'm still kind of imitating. I wrote a piece for the Canton Symphony they opened their current season with a piece that I composed on commission from them, and that's fun. You take something. I want something that sounds sort of like that Mozart piece, and a little bit like that Leonard Bernstein piece, and you sort of smush them together, and you don't try to copy somebody. Neither do you try so hard to be original. I find that it's just do what you want to say, what you want to say, and let originality take care of itself. And I think I came up with something that it sounds a little bit like. I'll tell people sometimes if I sound like John Williams.
Oh, good for you.
Then I'm happy with that. On the other hand, I don't want to sound only copying John Williams. I want there to be something that I feel like I'm making my own choices here and not simply copying another composer, however much I regard that composer. So it's a lot of fun. I've also had this Canton Symphony relationship is kind of long-standing. And a few years back, I pitched to Canton Symphony Management, to Dura Michel Mullally and to Maestro Zimmerman, when Secret Gift, the book by Ted Gupp, telling, of course, this marvelous story of altruism and giving during the depths of the Depression.
Yes.
Here in Canton. I pitched that idea to them of turning it into a piece for narrator and orchestra, and of course that became part of the 80th anniversary commemoration of the original story. And I'm pleased to tell you that the Canton Symphony is scheduled again for a year from now.
That's wonderful.
They're going to do it again.
Can people get a recording of that somewhere?
Not yet. I believe they're working on seeing if they can make it a recording next year.
Well, it was so good how that worked with the one book, and the whole thing came together, didn't it?
And Ted was able to come out and narrate for us, and he's a wonderful man. And this is a terrific heritage for Canton to be very proud of. Mm-hmm. That kind of story happened here. And just while we're on the subject of Christmas programs and stuff, the Tuscarawas Philharmonic, of course, has got our annual doubleheader at Christmas.
Cool. Let's mention what that is, and then we got to take a break, and then we'll come back and really let people know all the details. So, quickly, what is happening with the Tuscarawas Philharmonic? What is your doubleheader?
Our doubleheader, it's a 1-2 punch. The Christmas chunk of Messiah, some of the very popular choruses and solo songs from Messiah, and then our annual Yuletide celebration this year featuring this unique show called As a Child Looks at Christmas Eve.
No, so fun.
Tell you more.
All right. Tell us what dates. We have time for you to mention the dates and a website where people can go to get the information.
Well, all right. Get limber up your fingers because the website is Tuscarawas Philharmonic, all one word, tuscarawasphilharmonic.org. And there you'll find the concerts listed right there on the webpage. December 4th at 3:00. That's a Sunday. Is the Messiah, right, at, what's the name of the church? Oh, dear. We'll find out after.
We'll tell you that after the break. And then what date is Yuletide show?
Did we say it's the 10th, December 10th?
December 10th, all
right.
At
7:30 at the Performing Arts Center.
We're having a blast visiting with Eric Benjamin from the Tuscarawas Philharmonic. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with more after these words. You're listening to Our Community.